So guys, welcome back to the channel. Is this cam shaking? Shaky cam. All right, anyway, welcome back to the channel, y'all. This is the Ian West Network, and I have two phones for you. One over here is the Next Paper 70 Pro. I like this phone. It's a very good phone. It has a fingerprint in the lock button. You do have face unlock, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs internally. This is the United States version. They cost $199, a little bit more if you go to the TCL website and buy it straight out. But for carriers like Metro and T-Mobile, they're the only ones that carry it, $199 for the device. And I like it. I use it as a daily driver. I genuinely like this phone, and it has some really cool features that we're going to go over. Now, on the left-hand side, though, we have the Samsung A37 5G. I originally wasn't going to get this device, but it ended up dropping in price, and shockingly, it is better than A36, the last year's model. I wouldn't upgrade if you already have A36, but it is smoother, it is faster, and I do feel like the image stability in the camera is better than last year's model, which makes up for a lot of the issues that I talked about before. And of course, the build quality is different too. You have a glass back right here. I'm not sure if this is frosted glass or not, but I love the way that camera array looks. Now, I know some people, because of the camera array, it rocks back and forth. I put a case on my phone, so it's a minor detail. I don't really care about little grievances like that. That makes no difference for me. I'm not that anal, but it does feel and look like a premium device with the glass back. You know, you have a sharp screen, AMOLED screen. It's a nice phone for what it is. A little overpriced in my personal opinion, but it is a nice phone. But anyway, the whole purpose of this video is to kind of show you guys which one is better for your asking price. Now, right off the bat, I do believe the A37 is the better phone, hands down. There's nothing really to talk about in that regard. But we're going to, but for this price tag though, this is not a bad device at all, especially if you want that huge 6.9-inch screen. Anyway, let's get into this review and talk about both of the devices, the pros and the cons, of course. So this right here is a camera test between both of the devices. It's already labeled which one's the Samsung, and it's also labeled which one is the Next Paper 70 Pro. And like I said before, if you're buying these phones for a discounted pricing, I think that the Next Paper 70 Pro does a decent enough job for the asking price. But when you start changing in different locations, whether it's nighttime or lower lighting or darker lighting, the Next 70 Pro really shows that it's struggling in that regard, and it's not really able to keep the sharpness that the Samsung is. So again, if you're in this for video photography, my suggestion is to stick with the Samsung. It has better image stability, it's better on lighting, it's much sharper, it's much more precise when it comes to the lenses itself. Now, normally I would tell you guys the megapixels of the camera so you can know the difference between the two, but just by watching this part, just so you know, this video is actually recorded in 1080 60 frames. Even though the video is converted in 30 frames that you're watching, the actual video in the background is 60 frames for either phone. Both of them are capable of 4K 30, but you know, 1080p 60 frames is what I normally use when it comes to my videos, because I like the fluidity of 60 frames. It just looks better than 30. It's easier to catch on the eye also. But with that being said, you know, it is a price discrepancy between both of these devices. So don't be shocked, you know, as one looks better than the other. I mean, it's going to. Samsung is going to put more into their lenses than TCL, but it doesn't mean that TCL is a slouch. It really depends on what it is you want to use your camera for. If you're just a regular person, just taking photos every so often and you don't mind a TCL, go for it. It's not a bad camera, but if you want the better camera overall in different conditions, it's definitely going to be the A36. But always keep in mind that both of these devices are mid-tier, and there are better cameras if you decide to pay more, like buying a better phone in general. Now it's time for the speaker test. Naturally, some people play their devices out in the open. I always have a headset. I always have a Bluetooth with me, so speakers don't gradually mean that much to me. But I do understand that you, as the customer, consumer, the connoisseur of money, I'm just kidding. Y'all want to know if the speakers are good or not. So with that being said, I do want to show you something real fast. Now, remember I told you how the screen looks better for the Samsung? Look at this coloring. Then look at this coloring. It's sharper on the Samsung, which is going to be because it's a super AMOLED screen. But at the same time, this is not a slouch. It's good. So let's go with the Next Paper maximum volume first. Let's get you out of the video. And I'm going to let you know how it sounds. Here we go. So this is the maximum speaker right here. So guys, welcome back to the channel. Right here we have the Highland Heritage whiskey glass, whiskey stones, and bottle opener. And before you say anything, no, it wasn't sent to me. This is actually something that I got from Ross for $7.99. Okay, so you hear how it sounds. Personally, I do think that the vocals are a little forced. The speaker is struggling, in my personal opinion, after using it, because I had it for a while. The speakers, they're not like high-end, dynamic, high-quality speakers. You know what I mean? You can tell, you can hear that. I don't need to pull up a spec sheet for you to know that that's not going to be the best sounding speakers in a phone that you've used before. But at the same time, the drawback is that, you know, you have a decent processor. You do have a Dimensity 7300 inside of it. And at this price point, this is actually shocking. So again, temper your expectations on a TCL device. It is more of an e-reader and ease of access for eyes than anything else. Now here's the Samsung. Max volume. So guys, welcome back to the channel. Right here we have the Highland Heritage whiskey glass, whiskey stones, and bottle opener. And before you say anything, no, it wasn't sent to me. This is actually something that I got from Ross for $7.99. Now my wife, it's better, sounds better, it's sharper, it's louder. The speaker isn't struggling, and on top of that, in combination with the Super AMOLED screen, it even looks sharper. The video just looks sharper in general. Again, when you compare a phone that is imitating an e-reader that happens to run Android versus a Super AMOLED screen, which is Samsung's staple, obviously the Samsung is going to outperform it in practically every metric. But remember, this video isn't meant to try to stop you from buying the next paper. It's to show you that if you have a carrier deal, obviously a lot of people are going to go for the Samsung device because it has years of software updates and things like that. The people that are going to go for the next paper don't care about making emoji faces like in the settings. They don't care about swiping left to text or right to answer phone calls and things. They're not concerned about the Samsung store. They just want phone work. And I understand that because that's where I come from too. And if you can get it for this cheap, most people, you don't even have to. You know what's funny? For $200, I wouldn't even get this monthly on a contract. I would just buy it straight out because it's like, it's so cheap. It's like why be forced to have it for 2 years? You know what I mean? Then again, they probably get this phone for free on T-Mobile anyway. I'm not sure about the Samsung A37. They probably give this free also. But again, it's good for what it does. It's not going to overpower it, but it's still good. I have to defend it because I still like my next paper, man. I love this phone. Anyway, let's move on. So the experience for both devices is going to be very good. If you're switching between applications, going into your social media, Instagram, reading your Bible, checking your text messages, looking at your phone calls, etc., I do think that both of these phones are solid overall. Though I will say that the next paper is a little bit faster in that regard because it doesn't have any of that heavy skin, that 8.5 Samsung UI skin. It doesn't have it. So it's missing a lot of the features that Samsung has, but that also allows for the phone to just move faster in general when it comes to everyday use. And I do appreciate how quickly you can just swap between applications, even if you don't close them out. Samsung is also pretty smooth for the most part, but you will notice a hiccup here and there from time to time with the A37. Though what I will say is if you are all about customization with your phone, that small hiccup is still going to be better to use the Samsung over the next paper. Remember, that next paper screen is the reason why you're buying a device, and you're probably going to have it in that next paper mode most of the time for ease of access on the eyes. Now, with that being said, both of them have everyday decent performance when it just comes to making calls, text messages, things like that. I don't have an issue in that regard, though the gaming experience will differ just a little bit. Now, I have played Warframe, what's called the Division Resurgence, Minecraft, and a bunch of different games on both of these devices. And I have to say that overall, it's pretty similar in terms of performance. The only time the performance really jumped was when I used the Samsung and I played Warframe. The open world area is still a little sluggish, but it runs significantly better than the Next Paper 70 Pro in that regard. And the Next Paper 70 Pro surprisingly ran the Division Resurgence better than the A37. So like I said before, they're both mid-tier processors. On paper, the Samsung is better technically, but the performance is going to be pretty similar. Really, you're getting a device based on the screen and pretty much the UI at this point. So again, both of them are great. That's why this showcase is necessary to show you what $200 can do, or $329, regular price, if you get it on from the actual website, can do versus $449. Right off the back, we have to talk about both of these screens. Man, I'm not even sure what to say right here, but all right, let me break it down. So first off, let's start with the Samsung. You have a 120 hertz Super AMOLED display. The maximum brightness is going to be 1900 nits peak, 6.7-inch screen. It's 1080 by 2340 in pixels. The aspect ratio is 19.5.9. I'm just going to say it that way. And the PPI is 385 PPI. So it's a decent, bright, nice screen. Now, it is Corning Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, and you have Mohs level 5 in terms of, I believe that's the glass or scratch level, whatever that is, right? So to the average person, what are you going to care about? This has a very, very bright screen. It's easy to see in sunlight. It's nice. The colors pop on this. To be honest with you, I compared this screen to the iPhone 16e, and I prefer this screen because the colors with wallpapers and things just looked a whole lot better. My wife is using that device. If you purchase a Samsung A37, obviously you're not going to get the highest performance because it does use like an Exynos, what is it, 1430 or 1480, something like that, one of those processors, 1480 as a matter of fact, that's what it is. But this works for everyday usage. You can game on this with like medium settings. It's nice. The screen is sharp, it's bright, it's a very nice screen. And then on top of that, you have all of Samsung's software. So remember, if you decide to use Samsung Good Lock, which is a Samsung application, you have themes, you have wallpapers. You could basically customize your entire experience with your phone if you want that level of customization. Samsung is known for that. I like their software. You have the widgets that show when your batteries, your Bluetooth and different connections are connected. This is the closest experience to an Apple experience, in my opinion. I know people say the Pixel, but the Pixel is not a reliable brand overall. They make some decent phones. They're not all the way reliable. I think Samsung has more skin in the game than them in terms of quality phones. But this is good for what it does. Now at $450, it's a little expensive. If you're trading in the device to Samsung, that's different. If you're getting it under a prepaid carrier, you could probably get it for $50 under Metro and just pay the first month bill. So you can get this at a steal. This is a very good device, sharp screen. It does what it's supposed to do. Now we have the next paper on the right-hand side. This is an IPS LCD, 120 hertz display, and the max brightness, unfortunately, is 900 nits. So if I pretty much go to the settings right here, let me actually turn off the display part right here. Dark mode, it's no auto. Okay, so yeah, brightness is all the way up. Now, this is the brightness all the way up on this phone. And look at the Samsung. The Samsung brightness is almost all the way up, was up now. But when you go outside, you're going to notice a huge difference in brightness. To the naked view, this is so much brighter than this one right here. Like when I look at it at an angle, see if I can angle it for you guys. This is what I'm seeing. See how bright that is at an angle? You can still tell out the jacket. You can tell out what is an AI photo of me and like a Resident Evil attire. So you can see what I'm wearing in the photo. But if you look at this one, you can barely tell. Look at his fingers. Look at the gloves. Look, like it's just, you can tell that the screens aren't nearly as sharp. There's a lot of dark spots in the next paper screen. But again, it's not meant to try to compete with a Super AMOLED display. It's not trying to do that. So this is an IPS LCD, 120 hertz, 6.9 inches, so it's a little bit bigger, 1080 by 2340 for the pixels, same ratio, 19.5.9, and then we have 374 for PPI. Now for protection, it's a Sashi Glass Mohs level 5, and it has this screen called the Next Paper Technology. So you may be asking what that is. Let me show you. So as you can see, this is the photo. It has a little button on the side right here, and this is a cool feature. You have max ink mode, long battery life with limited functionality, basically. When you tap this one, right, what happens is it turns your phone into, it won't really use any of your battery. 140 hours left, remain approximately. This makes it as slow, as not slow as possible, but it blocks, like it's just a book reader, bookshelf. That's it. There's really nothing else here for you to do. You're not swiping through applications. It gives you the bare bones basic, which is settings, contacts, messages. This feature is for the person that may want to just put their phone on, some people on silent mode when they want to talk to people. If you put it on this mode, you won't see notifications. You don't have to worry about all the just hustle and bustle of the world, just throwing things at your face. You're just chilling. Life is quiet. I like this feature. It's like a Kindle, but you have actually the screen feels like a Kindle also. If that Next Paper texturized screen, it actually feels like you're swiping a e-reader. So that's the whole thing about this phone. That's what it's meant for. So we're going to go back to the regular mode. And then from here, there's another one. It's called ink paper mode. So this has two modes. This one will make everything black, as you can see. So even if you say, like, you can still use all your functionality of your phone right now. So I'm going to go to YouTube real fast if I can find it. And where are you, YouTube? Oh, here it is. Everything looks the same. So the videos are going to come in black and white, as you can see. Whenever you watch something, black and white. And you can always, like I said before, just switch it back down and it'll just bring it back to the color mode. Now, I do want to also say with this ink paper mode, right, it actually has a cool feature right here where, you know how phones have dark modes, light and dark mode? I have the on dark mode. If I go to display and just put it on light mode, then the background is going to look white like this. Now, I'm not a fan of the white mode. Some people will like that a little better. The black mode and dark mode is easier on the eyes. And I do want to say, even though this is a Super AMOLED screen, I don't feel like it's making my eyes tired at all. But when you stare at a screen for long periods of time, your eyes do naturally get tired. Doesn't matter how sharp the screen is. Your eyes aren't meant to just stare at something for so long. So if you want less strain on your eyes, the TCL is going to be the better phone for that, because it has this paper mode where you can look at this for hours at a time. And I didn't feel any soreness in my eyes. Whether I was reading the Bible or doing edits and videos and different things, the paper mode, it's just the way this screen technology is, it just eases the strain of colors and lighting on the eye, which is a really cool feature. Again, Samsung's going to have better features overall because it's Samsung. They've established their software over generations and generations. We know what Samsung is. But this is a decent alternative to that. Now, on top of that, it has another color mode, where if you pull this down, you know, I have the sounds off. It normally makes a little sound transition noise when you switch between it. And then you have this, which is color paper mode. What that does, though, is it's still black and white, but you can see the faint coloring right here. And just like any other phone, you have the option for the color temperature. You can turn it off if you want to, turn it up, however you want to do. It's really your choice. You know what I mean? It's like this, it is pretty customizable when it comes to the screen fluidity. But outside of that, again, it's not going to be as sharp. If you go outside in the sun with this, because it has that e-reader screen, you're not going to really be able to see your screen that clearly. You might have to kind of cover your hand or go into the shade, and you know, so there are some drawbacks to using it. But if you don't care, this is really a good device to use in terms of that regard. Big, huge screen, and you know, you have that Next Paper color mode. But of course, on the Samsung end, you have a sharper colors, sharper resolution. Well, I'm not gonna say the resolution is sharper, and you have a better screen. So naturally, it's going to just do coloring much better than the Next Paper. But both of them are unique in their own way. And I do think that, again, I'm talking about the US market people, $199 versus $459. You got to ask yourself, do you really want to spend double just to have a better screen? Now, obviously, the Samsung has better features overall, and we're going to move forward in this video. So just pay attention to that. So these phones are catered for two very different demographics. The Next Paper 70 Pro in the American market, you can get this for $199, 128 gigs, 8 gigs of RAM. The Dimensity 7300 processor, it works well. When switching between applications, I don't really have any slowdowns whatsoever when using YouTube. Is not a problem. The only downside is that the camera array isn't as good as the Samsung A37. And on top of that, the screen brightness isn't nearly as bright when you go outside. The maximum is 900 nits. But keep in mind, you have that texturized Kindle filling screen. So you're sacrificing something in order to use that type of technology. Now, on the flip side, we have the Samsung. The Samsung has a better processor. It does have a better camera. The 120 hertz screen with the Super AMOLED display is better overall when you're going outside or inclement weather and things like that. But the negative aspects about the Samsung is that the One UI 8.5, it's so bloaty that it does slow down your Samsung experience. If they took the time to make a smoother One UI transition with the processor that's inside of it, the Exynos 1480. Also, this phone should have had 8 gigs of RAM. There is an 8 gig variant, but the United States market, you're only getting 6 gigs of RAM for that variant and 128 gigs, so keep that in mind. If you want to pay more money for the other variants, that's your business. But when you start climbing price tag, I don't think an A30 anything is worth the asking price. If you look at the website for the TCL, get a 512 gigabyte model. When you start climbing price tag, then I'm like, nah, the 128 gig to 256 is the best model for the TCL. And to be honest, the Samsung should have came in 256, 8 gigs of RAM. They're being cheap. No wireless charging. There are some features that are missing that other phones in the same price point already has. But again, Samsung is banking on you actually caring about their software experience rather than everything else. And overall, I have had a pretty smooth experience with the phone. I don't really have anything to complain about with the Samsung. It works very, very well. Now, there are different people that are going to buy this. If you're getting it under the prepaid market, knock yourself out. Either phone is fine, even though the Samsung overall is going to be better. Some people want the texturized screen in the next paper. Get that if you like that screen. If you're buying it straight out, if you can get it on Amazon on a Prime Day sale or a sale in general for $299, the Samsung, or $349, it is definitely worth the asking price. $449, in my opinion, is a stretch. The TCL, on the other hand, regular price online, from my understanding, is $329. I don't know if that's for a 256 gig variant or a 128. But either way, if you're paying $329 for a 128 variant, no, I wouldn't pay for the phone. The $199 price tag or even $249 on sale online would be more ideal for that price tag for what it offers. Because even though it's a mid-tier chip, and I understand that, other devices that cost more have better screens, better charging, wireless charging, better cameras, you know what I mean? Like, they still add a little bit more to offset that price tag, while this one is bare bones generic. It feels very, very generic, the next paper. Even though I'm a fan of it, I like the phone, it does feel generic, and they do need to personalize the Android to give it its own oomph, so that when they come out with the next phone or they do a software update, you would think they would, it would be like, oh, so this has emojis of its own. Oh, this has this of its own. It has to stand out. That next paper feature is cool, but I don't think it's enough to stand out. Once you get past the screen, it's pretty generic, you know what I mean? But I still like them. They're both good for what it is that they do. And naturally, if you can get it cheaper, always go for the cheaper option. Save your money, people. We're living in a time where mid-tier phones are starting to cost as much as high-end. High-end phones are astronomically overpriced. I'm not paying $1,000 for a phone ever again. I'm not paying $12.99 for a stupid phone. I'm not paying $1,700, $1,800, $1,900 for a foldable. If I get my hands on one for review, I'll review it, and I'm sure it's worth a certain amount of money. But I'm not willing to drop that type of cash because it's just a phone. It's not that serious. People out here paying $1,700 for phones, but complaining about $800 PlayStations. The PlayStation will last you longer than your phone. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But yes, both are nice. I like them both. But if you're in a prepaid sector, you're set. It's easy to pick one. If you're buying them straight out, the Samsung is the better phone, but wait for deals. Make sure that you spend your money and be smart about it. Anyway, like and subscribe like always. I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care, peace, God bless, and I am out.